It is September 13th, 2019.
This is Nerd Bourbon, episode 119. I'm Seth Sturgill.
And I'm Todd Sturgill.
Todd, I gotta be honest with you. I come to you in strange spirits tonight. We're certainly gonna get into it, and you know the reason why.
I do.
But I feel strange tonight as we record this episode. We just got done playing Gears 5, and my thoughts on Gears 5 are complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So we will certainly get into that. We've got, it's honestly going to probably be a little bit of a light week for the show this week because, we're certainly going to talk about Gears 5, I think, in length. I know you've got some more Iceborne talk to do now that you've spent a significant amount of time with it.
And also, it's just an actual segment now.
Yeah, it's just a segment now. And then we've got some news to cover. I mean, it's been a pretty light news week, but we've got a few things to cover. Nintendo has kind of revealed the release cadence that they, or lack thereof, of the Super Nintendo games. We've got some little minor news items today. Nothing major happened really in the news today, but a few things certainly to talk about. So we will get into that. Todd, as tradition dictates, let's begin the show this week by asking what you've been playing.
Well, first things first, we're going to jump right into Monster Hunter talk.
I just need a musical stinger.
You do actually. I feel like you need to click in maybe the beginning of the Astera theme or some shit.
Is there an iconic Monster Hunter noise? Maybe a Palico noise or something?
I mean, that might be something. You could probably do something like that.
I'll have to look into this.
But honestly, at this point, just whenever I talk about Monster Hunter, just add my babushka.
That's true. Your precious babushka.
I love her. I need to I don't know if you've seen the her cutscene of when she's cooking shit.
I have.
It's so good. I love it.
It's beautiful.
No, I'll be honest. It fills me with joy.
It fills you with the warmth that a grandmother would.
Yeah, but shit. I've definitely put a little more time into Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Definitely fought a couple of the returning monsters. I'm not going to say new, but returning monsters from old games. And
you're telling me this is actually separate from the concept of the subspecies.
Yes, so we actually have some returning monsters from the old games. You have Brachydos, which is actually, I think, the first monster that started the element Blast.
Okay.
And he's fun. He's a pretty fun fight. Then there is Glavenus, which is arguably, at this point, my favorite fight in the game.
Okay.
Just because he's fun. He's fun as hell to fight. And the cliff notes on him, he's basically a T-Rex basically his tail is a little longer than most of them. And he uses his tail as a blade, and he superheats it, so he does fire attacks with it and shit like that. A lot of fun, really fun fight. Actually, I finally got to the point where I've actually gotten some master rank armor. That's actually, let me backtrack. So throughout this time I've been playing master rank, I think I'm only master rank 12 or some shit like that. I'm still I think currently on my assignments, the actual story shit, as I'm about to go fight the Shrieking Legiana for the first time. That is the subspecies, which I'll get into. But I have not cared enough to get the better the master rank armor. But thank God for layered armor, because it's dude, the set that I'm going for is a mixed set up the ass. Because it's just no legitimate set in my mind is good, skill wise, from the way I play.
Right.
So I'm just shit. So I'm going. I legitimately went through and I'm picking and choosing. I'm that's good, that's good, that's good. I ended up with a hodgepodge of bullshit.
It's strange to me that they didn't have more options for you, for your play style.
Well, what it is if I really wanted to, the Brachydos set is actually really solid for me. But I'd lose out a lot of other shit. because I
Right.
I usually use I use blast a lot, and I use blast charge blade, and he has actually I think it has artillery, capacity boost, has a lot of shit that I like, but I'd lose a lot more.
Right.
And so like what I'm doing now is like I've basically found a mixed set that will give me, I can use my decorations, with jewels and whatever to kind of make it more in line where my play style. So works out. So I got like 2 out of 5 pieces right now of that working on. That's basically what I've been doing when I haven't been playing Gears with you. Is I've just been like slogging through, just doing some like killing some monsters. But I want to talk about some of like the master. I've actually finally found. I've actually gotten to the point with master rank where it's actually a little challenging, and I'm like, there you go. That's actually what I wanted to see. And I feel like that challenge might die once I like get better armor, because it is just like, for the most part, it's just like the fucking squishy, the being squishy.
Right.
And it's not like I'm like super squishy, even with like my rarity 7 shit. It's just shit hits harder. Shit is just a little more challenging.
Well, this is all sort of complacent with the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter, right?
Yes.
Just
Yes.
kill monsters, get better gear to make killing other monsters easier.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I've gotten to, and I've had a lot of fun fighting the returning monsters. Like I forget, I'm gonna like fucking butcher this name. It's like Narakuga.
Narakuga.
And you've probably seen it. It's like the kind of like bat looking one.
Right.
You know the one I'm talking
Yes.
about. Like shoots out like feathers, like as like a like. It makes sense when you see his armor. His armor is like dead ass ninja based, like ninja as shit. The fucking palico weapon is actually like a straight up shuriken.
Nice.
I love it. Like I've thought about it. That's actually something I need to do. I need to get my palico weapon, so I need to actually go fight a master rank Rataban.
Okay.
That's my go-to palico weapon, is the Rataban's one, because of sleep. Putting these bitches to sleep, as one of my coworkers would say. But yeah, definitely a lot of fun. Honestly, the first death that I had in master rank was to Barioth. I think it was the pronunciation, and he's like this motherfucker. He's like this kind of jaguar-esque looking one, and he's ice based.
Okay.
He's fun as fuck though. He's a fun fight. He's fast, and he definitely fucked my ass up a little bit. It got to the point where I was like soloing a lot of shit. It got to the point now where I'm like, let's not solo some shit. Let's fire an SOS flare. Let's let's be smart about this.
Let's get some Japanese people in here.
It's shit. Again, I'll still say it. Like I've half the time I play with Japanese people, they ain't the best. Definitely having a lot of fun with Iceborne. I'm trying to think of like the other new monsters. I've kind of because I've fought Glavenus, which I've talked about now, Barioth, Narakuga.
I'm ready for somebody to edit like our sound bites there and just like, Japanese people, they aren't the best.
But
you could probably take like all of our podcasts that we've done over the years and just make like some like racial tirade
you probably could
out of all the sound bites.
Yeah. So the thing I'm really looking forward to now, though, is like getting into like the subspecies, which is what I've gotten to now.
So have you not had a chance to play against any of the subspecies at all yet?
No, because I feel like they're gonna activate it after I kill the Shrieking Legiana.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like, because like the Shrieking Legiana is the first of the subspecies that I'm gonna fight. So at that point, I feel like I'm gonna end up. Well, I'm lying. I fought other subspecies. I've actually fought. Yeah, I'm dumb. I'm dumb as fuck. I've straight fought like. That's the first one for an assignment, I think.
Okay.
No, I'm lying. God, Iceborne's been a blur for me. So backtrack. So I fought the Coral Puke,
Right. Okay.
which is a water-based Puke, and he does some like Val Hazak ass shit.
Okay.
Like with his water streams, it's actually hilariously dangerous. Like I actually said this to myself because I got close to dying. I'm like, if I die to a fucking Puke. Like, but because he does this one thing where, because he shoots the water out of his tail, he does this like, he's up in the air and he's just spinning around fucking wildly and shit. It's like, you spin me
right around, baby.
And I'm like, fuck. And then there was the Viper, Toby Kadachi.
I was gonna ask about that. That looked cool.
So the thing with him, he poisons you and paralyzes you. He's a little dangerous, I won't lie. I beat the dog shit out of him, but he has the potential to fuck you up.
I see.
And then I'm trying to think the other one. I think there was one more that I fought. Okay, oh yeah, there's the Nightshade Paolumu.
Okay.
Which I didn't really notice anything like super different about it, other than the fact it looks cool. It has like
fair.
it has a cool. It's like this black and like kind of like green, like mixed in the fur and shit. Looks cool. Looks good. And there's I think one more that I can't remember, but I'm waiting to get into the cooler ones though. Like I want to fight the fucking like that ebony ass like Odogaron. I want to fight like those ones because there's even subspecies of the new like of the returning monsters like Glavenus. There's like an acid based one. There is it's funny. I've seen him, but I haven't fought him. Is the Fulgur Anjanath?
Okay.
That's a thunder like lightning based one.
Interesting.
I've seen him, have not fought him. Like he was like used in a turf war against a monster I was fighting. Definitely really looking forward to seeing more of the subspecies. Shit, just fighting more of the new monsters. I'm ready to get to like Velkhana, fight Velkhana like for real because I have technically fought Velkhana, but like one of those like repel him back to the Hoarfrost Reach.
Right.
And then he wasn't even in his like real form until he like fucking he basically this isn't even my final form basically. he powered up in like a cutscene and just like fucked my life up basically. Then the other monster I'm really looking forward to fighting is like one of the new Elder Dragons is Namiel or some shit. And I've seen some memes about it. And I'm really excited to fight it. Because it just sounds bad. It's like Kieran who?
So this is kind of like a new wall, basically.
Oh, dude. From what I've seen, booty blasting, motherfuckers. Like, there's an AoE, it does it basically, like, goes up and just, and it's basically water and thunder just going out, like, just fucking shit up.
God bless.
And I'm like, oof. I'm like, ooh, shit. I saw a gif of it on, like, the Monster Hunter World Reddit. I'm like, oof. That's like legit my reaction. I was like, ooh, no.
Fun times. Very fun times.
Yes. But Iceborne has been exactly what I wanted it to be. Just more Monster Hunter. And just a little harder. More of a challenge. Get my, like, kind of just get me wanting to play it a little more. Because it's just like, it got to the point where I was like, I've kind of done everything.
Yeah.
Kind of good. Now it's just, and that's kind of, it took a while to get to that point. Shit, I got like 700 hours in the fucking game. And I was just playing it every day for a while. And I fell off it to the point where I think I was playing it maybe once every so often.
Right.
Just because if I was bored. But now it's like, I want to play it. I want to sit there and be playing it.
Which is the job of a new expansion. So.
And the problem is, the world doesn't want me to play.
There's too much. There's too much other shit.
Yes.
It's gonna even out for you real soon though.
Because this is about to be the perfect segue.
Yes.
To the other game that like took me away from Iceborne. Gears 5.
For at least a couple days, Gears 5 took you away from Iceborne. Yeah, let's dig into this because this has really been the only game that I've been playing this week.
Yeah.
Life has been busy this week as I've started a new job. And so getting into kind of a groove with that, and then, Gears 5 coming out.
Getting that good, haven't worked for a while, ass fucking.
So, yeah, getting that back into the swing of things. I do want to say, so we did record our entire playthrough of Gears 5. Todd and I played through the entire thing in co-op. So we've got a Gears 5 daily video series. It's actually already a couple of days into it, if you're listening to this now. There are 14 parts to the series. So, and new videos will be released daily. So go ahead and check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and check out our daily Gears videos.
Now, if you don't watch the whole series, at least watch Part 8.
Yeah, Part 8's good.
Part 8's my favorite.
Part 8 is the height of our co-op stupidity. But yeah, Gears 5, let's get into it, man, cuz there's a lot I think to unpack about Gears 5. I think this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of meat here. Just base thoughts. I don't want to talk about really spoilers.
Yeah, let's the game just recently came out. I don't really
Just
want to
came
jump
out.
into that. Might be something we visit at another time and actually
Yeah.
talk about spoilers, but at the moment,
But let's just, what are your gut reactions? So full context, we literally just finished Gears 5 like
yes.
30 minutes ago.
Yep.
So you're getting our gut reactions here.
Overall, I enjoyed the game. There's just certain issues that I had with like some of the experimental aspects of the game.
Right.
Like, did not see the need for the open world parts of the game, at least.
Right.
Thought they were needless, unnecessary. I saw what they were going for, but it's just I don't like open worlds that are just empty.
Just open
And
world
just-
for the sake of being open world.
It was essentially a vessel for collectibles and what are they components for Jack, which we
right.
kind of talk about that because that's something they really fucking leaned into.
Definitely.
Is they knew there was always a robot or whatever with the Delta Squad or whatever, but they really leaned into it as a gameplay mechanic in this one.
Well, and as a matter of fact, like, this is, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first game where you can only do 3-player co-op. Like, you can't do 4-player co-op. It's only up to 3 because the third player is going to be Jack.
Yep.
Which is interesting. They've really leaned into Jack heavily as a gameplay mechanic. And from what I understand, I haven't played as him because he's also present in Horde mode, the new Horde.
Yes, he is.
But apparently he's pretty fun to play as, actually. So he's a really good support character. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I want to talk about a lot of stuff. I want to talk about the sort of familiar elements of Gears 5 because it is still ostensibly a Gears game. Like,
it definitely is.
The things that you like about Gears are still here. If you like the destroyed beauty, you like shooting shit, you like chainsawing dudes, like, that's still very much here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fuck. I just remembered my dumbass.
What?
When I died.
Oh, when you, like, turned that corner and lost that chainsaw battle?
Because I'm going to be... I will defend myself right now. Like I defended myself in the video. Did not expect it to happen. And again, that's something I'm going to talk about. Is they switched... The unfamiliar shit is they switched the chainsaws and just weapon abilities in general to right bumper.
Yeah, I got used to that really quickly.
But I wasn't used to it at that point.
Yeah.
Not for a chainsaw battle, because here's the problem. The chainsaw battle was not with RB, it was with B.
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like I would have been more ready for it if it was RB, because I was already on RB.
That's fair.
That's my thing. That's my issue. Like, don't put it back to the regular button, the original button, if you're not going to have it on the original button with the whole fucking mechanic. Like, fuck you.
That's fair.
And, I mean, honest, it was a fast-ass fucking chainsaw battle. Like, they don't last long.
Yeah, I
don't
think
last
they
long at all.
decreased the time that they last.
So I'm telling you, the second I wasn't on fucking B, it's like, dead.
It's fair. Todd, you don't have to be so defensive about it.
I will defend myself.
Yeah, so I mean, piggybacking off of Gears 4, this game picks up, and like they actually do a really cool previously on Gears thing that kind of gets you up to speed. If you either haven't played Gears 4 or if it's been a while since you've played Gears 4, to kind of just refresh your memory on the bullet points, essentially.
Just make sure you don't play with anybody named Ghost Ninja.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. So we were like, I was kind of trying to like figure out how to set up like the campaign co-op, and this is another thing that I'll get into, just the technical difficulties we had.
Oh my God.
Early on, that's actually going to be a major thing that I want to talk about here, but. Yeah, we set up the campaign lobby not realizing that it was going to be open to the public. So, like, this random guy joined our playthrough and was, like, skipping cutscenes and shit. Like, and, like, rushing ahead. And we were like, wait, what?
And we didn't realize at the time that he was skipping shit because we kind of were like, I was a little... And so we got back into our real playthrough. Like we kind of like fucking kicked that guy, like started a new playthrough, and we didn't. We only made it like what, like 2-3 minutes in.
Yeah, it wasn't long. It wasn't long
And
before
then
he got
as
kicked.
the cutscenes started playing, we're like, oh, there's more.
Yeah.
Oh God, there was way more.
It wasn't long until like Ghost Ninja's tyranny was ended. You know. So he was like skipping everything, and yeah, we were like dead ass. We were like, that cutscene ended in a weird place. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's a really nice kind of refresher as the game starts, and you kind of get right into it, and at least for a while, the first act, it does a really good job of easing you into kind of getting you back into the swing of things. I think Act 1 is a really good like this is Gears as you remember it, right?
Yeah.
They don't throw a lot of the new stuff at you, but then when Act 2 happens, that's when the new stuff really comes full force. And to that end, so you were talking earlier, you mentioned that the game has open world elements, and that is probably the most drastic experiment here. There's been a lot made, like they dropped the of war from the title. You kind of get the sense that this is a very experimental Gears game. I think it is by far the most experimental Gears game in terms of its campaign. And yeah, there are full open world. There are actually 2 full open world areas in the game where you have like a vehicle, a skiff, and it's a completely open environment with like side content and stuff like that. The issue is, as we touched on earlier, I ended up coming away from the open world, and I think you agree. It just feels a little needless and empty and like unnecessarily bloated. Like, it feels like padding, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we kind of like, we were on a time crunch and we didn't know how long the game was going to be. So we chose, at least for the video series, not to engage in a lot of the side content. But we did engage with like a few bits of it, and none of it was very good.
Well, it's I like, as soon as I realized, like, we did the first one in the first open area, and I'm like, if this is exactly what this is, like just killing enemies and getting like some like collectibles or components, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean,
good.
The structure of it basically is like, you have this big open area. It's got maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 locations in it, and you go there, you clear out the enemies there, you collect components, and you are given a master upgrade basically for Jack. So, as you kind of alluded to earlier, the open world really just feels like a big empty vessel for collectibles and for some lame side missions, basically.
It was just like a giant whatever to me. I'm like, completely unnecessary. Like I made the point, like, I'm not gonna like spoil like levels, but I'm like, there was parts where I'm like, yeah, they could have just made this a level, that a level.
Yeah, and I'd even mentioned to you as we're playing, and this is in the video, like, Gears always kind of has like a level that is based on like a vehicle section. You think back to the Krill with the lights in Gears 1. Hell, even Gears 4 had that like motorcycle segment.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, like, there's always kind of like a vehicle section. It felt like if you needed to get us from A to B or whatever, you could have just made these vehicle sections. And there's even a part in Act 3 where I was like, okay, this basically feels like it could have been a vehicle set piece. It just is taking place in an open world for no reason.
Yep.
So I think in terms of the experiments that they have done in this game, that is one that I feel a little more negative about. Now, where I come down positively with some of this stuff is the Jack stuff.
Yes.
Because Jack, for those that don't know, if you're not like a big Gears fan, Jack is basically your robot companion. We talked about him a little bit earlier. In this game, he has got a full set of skills, like a skill tree, essentially, that can be swapped out, used in and out of combat, used for puzzle solving, used for combat situations, and completely, every single one of them are completely upgradable. Really the incentive that you have to do the side content is that you can unlock kind of like the final upgrades for Jack by doing that, and you can gather components that you can spend to further upgrade him. He is a really big crux of the gameplay this time around,
Yeah, there's legitimately parts in the game where you can't get through without like his stim ability.
Yes. So he's got like a stim ability that like kind of over heals you a little bit and like negates some damage and
Yeah,
stuff.
it basically gives you a little bit of armor for like a couple seconds.
And it's really nice because that can be upgraded to revive players when they go down. You can just pop the stim and you both get revived and stuff. And
Yeah, I made the call on that without realizing that I was gonna spend the components.
it was good. I mean, like that ended up being a crucial upgrade for us, you know. So, and like he ends up getting like a barrier shield ability. You get a really cool ability that I made a lot of use of, where you can hack and hijack enemies, which was really interesting. Get them to fight for your side, and that even applies to like the what are they called? Those robots? What are they called?
Rejects.
No, the shield robots.
No, bastions.
Bastions. I was blanking on their name. You can hijack the bastions.
I mean, I think it's still technically a bastion reject.
Yeah. No, you're right. But yeah, I was trying to think of the specific one. You can hijack the bastion, which would normally shield enemies, and make it shield you, which is really cool.
I remember at one point, like I think it was one of the heavy hitter enemies. I think it's a new enemy actually.
The Warden.
The Warden.
Yes.
Yeah. And you fucking like you took the shield from him, and it's like you're just standing in front of him, like doing, "What's up? What's up, bro?"
Dude, that was a great moment because like I didn't realize, like I was hoping that it would do that, but I sort of assumed that it wouldn't. So like basically they shit out a warden, like a shielded warden with a bastion shielding it, and it was like not long after that we were given the hijack ability, and I was like, oh man, like I wonder if this is gonna work. So I hijacked the bastion, and now I've got the shield, and I'm basically just standing in front of him like, "What's up, motherfucker?" Basically, and he's just wailing on me. It's not doing any damage because I'm shielded from the hijacked bastion. So really cool. I really like the Jack stuff in this game, and it gives you a little bit of an attachment to Jack as a character. I can only imagine the way it would be if you had a third player with you playing as Jack would probably change the sort of like dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, because it'd be. I think it would be. It's because the only way I think that would work is if you were playing with a friend and you'd be able to coordinate.
Right.
But like playing with a random dude just doing his own thing, I think it would like annoy me.
Another
personally.
Interesting thing that they did that's sort of experimental about this game is there are, and again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there are choices. A couple of choices throughout the course of the game that are pretty major. Like story choices.
I mean, yeah, one of them definitely is, but
one of them is more major than the other. I think there are two, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember the other one.
I don't want to. Yeah,
I don't. I mean, obviously, I remember the main one. I don't remember the first one.
Yeah. So, and then there are interesting gameplay things. So, like piggybacking off of Gears 4's ending, there are interesting things happening with Kate in this game. That's a huge crux of the game's story. And so there are interesting things that happen to the player who is playing as Kate also.
Yeah, that's I missed out. It's fucked up as I definitely missed out the main one because that's when we realized I should be playing Kate.
Yeah, because you were the one recording. But there's some cool moments with Kate in this game for sure. And I think if you play the game by yourself, I think the game does default to having Kate as the main character for good reason. This is very much a Kate-centric story. So, and if you finish Gears 4, you know exactly the implications that Gears 4 ended on, and they definitely pay that off in Gears 5.
The implications.
Oh, the implications. I think that the game's story, like Gears 5's the actual story, when you think about the actual like narrative. I mean, we just talked about some of the weird shit they did, but when you think about the actual like plot, I think it's pretty good in this one. Yeah. Like this is maybe the most story heavy Gears game yet. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like controller downtime. You know what I mean? Like you might be surprised at how many cutscenes there are. You might be surprised, like, of course, there's plenty of, like, balls-to-the-wall action, but you might be surprised at how many times you put the controller down, you're just watching a good... You know, it never gets to, like, fucking Kojima levels.
No, not at all.
But you might be surprised there might be a good, like, you know, 8 to 10 minute cutscene in the game. You know, there's actually quite a bit of, like, story and lore and exposition to the game. And there's kind of a lot to chew on here, narratively, which is not really something we're used to with Gears. So that was a nice surprise for me. I think story-wise, like, I don't think anything can really top Gears 3 in my mind.
No.
But I think in terms of, like, the actual plot, I think that Gears 5 probably is my favorite in the series. And
I can agree with that.
I want to talk about something that I think is a big issue here. So, and I feel odd about knocking the game itself, because I don't think it's the game's fault necessarily, but a big part of this game's marketing was, play it, a couple of days early if you're an Xbox Game Pass member, right? That was a huge part of the game. I mean, huge. I mean, imagine how many Game Passes they sold for people just so they could play Gears 5 early, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were one of them. We played Gears 5 on launch day for Game Pass, and we had it all ready to go and everything, and we were excited to play it. And it is so clear to me, based on the experience that we had and the experience that many, many others had, that the version that they had available for Game Pass was so clearly an unfinished build of the game that, like, it really served for a subpar experience.
Oh my god.
The difference between when we played the first time to when we played after the game's, like, proper release on September 10th was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially, the version that came out on September 10th, that is the game. Like, that is the version of the game that they released properly out into the wild. That's the game. The pre-release build that everybody with Game Pass was playing early
wasn't good.
It was not, like, there was issues, like, big issues.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it was, like, we had severe connectivity issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is the same for you, but none of the collectibles that we collected, like, like, basically up until release day, counted for me.
What?
None of them.
Bro, the thing is, it probably is like that. I just didn't look. Because, again, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, I just happened to look recently, and I deadass, I have no collectibles whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fucking joke.
Yeah. And, like, we dropped our connection several times to where the game,
we legitimately had to relaunch the app to even, like, get back into a game.
Had to completely kill it, relaunch the app to get back into a game together. And then, like, because, like, the game's checkpoints are already a little mean in this one.
Yeah.
They could sometimes be a little strange, but, like, we would lose. Like, it was like, all right, let's see how much fucking progress we lost this time. There's one time in particular, we essentially had to play through an entire chapter again.
Yep.
Just to, because of the connectivity issues. So that was a huge issue for me. And then that extended also into the multiplayer, where I tried to play multiplayer Gears for like an hour and a half. That entire time, I was able to get into 2 games. It was a joke. And I was like, this is the game's bread and butter. Like, in what reality is this okay? I mean, this is the version that people are going to be playing. This is the version people bought Game Pass to play this. This was a huge selling point of the game. Like, you guys had to have known that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it makes me scared because, like, think about this, Todd. Like, next fall, Halo Infinite's coming out. Imagine they do the same thing. Play Halo Infinite a couple of days early. And it's like, I'm kind of scared to do that now.
I don't even know if I want to.
Right.
Like, because honestly, that my experience with, like, the pre-build was just rough, dude. Like, on this fucking game, and I think I think it was like, I think part 6 would be the first part where we're on the actual build.
Yeah.
And I think we even say, I'm like, is the game just, like, running better?
It just runs better. Even, like, maybe it was in our head, but I felt like it even, like, started to look better. Like,
I think it looked a little crisper.
Yeah, just like it was very clear to me that we were playing, like, a build of the game that was not finished. So strange. I don't know what happened there. And it really like put a bad taste in my mouth. If I had played the game, if we had basically waited until the game actually came out and we played that version of the game the entire time, because like we had no connectivity issues whatsoever after that.
Yeah, we're fine.
It ran absolutely perfectly. There was a point even earlier today where I think we were in the same session, just like with the game paused for like an hour with no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense to me. I think that was a huge fumble of the ball. The fact that I still like the game as much as I do really speaks to how good the game is otherwise. I have a little minor complaint that I want to talk about, just real quick. I have one minor complaint, one major complaint that I want to tackle here.
Okay.
The minor one, no flashlight. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
That was so annoying. Oh my god. Like there's so many the game is dark. And I don't mean that from a content perspective. I mean that like literally. It is dark.
It's dark. It's just a dark game. And like I was sitting there like trying to explore one point. I'm like, I can't see shit.
Yeah. Like I'm like literally I can't see it. It's so fucking dark.
I legitimately turned my brightness up.
Yes. And like they want like they have Jack like shining light and everything, and I'm like, there is no reason we can't have flashlights on our armor.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense whatsoever. So that was like a little bit of a nitpick. The big one though, and this is something that I'm still kind of grappling with, and maybe I'll report back if my mind is changed as I further marinate on this game in the weeks and months to come, because we literally just finished the game.
Mm-hmm.
The ending. I don't want to get into the content of the ending.
I feel like you can just say the easiest comparison I can just do is like it is a Halo 2-esque like finish the fight sort of ending, and it's just really abrupt. And it was one of those things like as we were getting to the ending, I'm like in the back of my mind, I'm like is this where the game's gonna end?
I couldn't believe it. Like,
and it's as soon as the credits fucking rolled, both of us were like, oh.
I couldn't believe it because like it really felt like I didn't get a complete satisfying ending because Gears has always had a 5-act structure. Mm-hmm. This game does not. This game only has 4 acts to it, and as a matter of fact, the 4th act is the shortest act in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, by the time we get to the sort of, like, final moments of the game, it's like, oh, wow, this is really it. And it just did not... I don't feel like I got enough closure with any of these characters in a satisfying way. It very... I mean, Halo 2 is a perfect comparison. It very much feels like a finishing this fight moment where it's just abrupt, and it's like, all right... I guess I'm just going to be pissed off for like a couple years now.
Yep.
Until I can play the new one. Like, it's a bummer. Like, when the credits rolled, I was in fucking disbelief.
And if you'll be able to see that disbelief in the playthrough.
Right. It just... My gut reaction to it is I think it's just a completely unsatisfying ending, and I'm actually shocked that more people aren't talking about it. And maybe we're just kind of waiting for the dust to settle a little bit. The game is still so new, but I really feel like this should be just as infamous as Halo 2's ending. It is bad.
Yeah.
Like not even just like the cliffhanger kind of aspect of it, but like it is just. I was left completely cold by the ending of this game.
The thing when I beat like games, like I usually kind of sit there and I have a sort of somewhat of a feeling.
Yes.
I just kind of sat there and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, the second the logo pops up and like the credits started to roll, I was like, what? That was it. know?
That was like my only reaction, like, cause like, I didn't really, I felt almost nothing,
dude. And
as
like
the credits rolled. I'm like, oh,
dude, we were hunkered down,
yes,
thinking we were like in for another like several hours.
Yeah,
of gameplay.
both. So we basically beat it in 3 sessions?
Yes.
So 3 sessions. So the first session we got up to part 5.
Yeah.
No, that's actually 4 sessions at that point, right?
Actually, yes, you're right.
Yeah, so it's 4 sessions.
Sorry,
So
it might as well be 3 sessions because the last session was an hour long.
yeah, so technically 4 sessions, but each one was about maybe like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, basically like 3 to 5 hours, basically a session.
Right.
And except the last one.
Yes, I don't mean to say that I don't think the game is long enough. I was completely satisfied by the game's length.
But going into the last session, like we're fully ready to at least record for another 2 to 3 hours, if that.
Right.
But shit, 30 minutes.
Well, and again, it isn't because I didn't feel like the game was long enough. It's because I felt like there was more story there.
Yes.
I'm not left wanting gameplay hours. Shit, like Gone Home, you can beat Gone Home in fucking 30 minutes or whatever, and like that's one of the most meaningful gaming experiences I've ever had. I don't care about a game's length. As long as it's good and satisfying, I don't care. I felt like we had more story. Like I was not chasing hours, I was chasing story.
Yes.
Like chasing the story that I never really got at the end, like the satisfying conclusion that I never really got. So it really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth in what is otherwise a really good package. Like I want to, shifting from the campaign, because I know we've talked a lot about the campaign, and I know you haven't played as much of the multiplayer as I have. I think you only really played it that one time, right?
Yeah, I played like that initial game of the arcade shit.
Yeah, so I've played a couple of times since then. I still haven't put like a ton of time into it, and I haven't. We will maybe report later if we end up checking out Horde or Escape or whatever in the future. But I have played quite a bit of the multiplayer, the arcade multiplayer, and I definitely want to talk about that because I think that's pretty interesting. The new sort of take on the multiplayer, where essentially, I won't go as far as to say that they've made it like a hero shooter, but they have character-specific abilities that kind of like shake up the gameplay in interesting ways. So you'll have a character like Marcus. I believe Marcus's character abilities is you're healed as you're dealing damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember what his skull earning ability is. I don't remember if it's an execution-based one. I can't remember. But essentially, the better you do, the more skulls you earn, which is skulls is like a currency that you can use to then buy weapons, almost like in a Counter-Strike kind of way, where you can like buy weapons to equip yourself with. And it's actually kind of interesting because you have to base like your play style and kind of like kind of plays the character that fits your play style. Like you gravitated towards Emil from Halo Reach because he very much fits your play style.
The only issue I have with him is the starting weapon.
Yeah.
The Enforcer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, though, he's got my shit. Like his first buy is like a Nasher. The fucking Breaker Mace is his next thing. I'm like, let's fucking go.
You get into this interesting sort of cadence where you kind of know like the costs of stuff, and I actually have a really good time playing as Dell. Dell and JD have actually randomized buy pools, so like you can sit there and get like literally anything when you buy a new weapon, which is interesting to me. And I also like that whenever whenever damage is dealt to them, the enemy is marked for the entire team.
Oh wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, which is cool. So I like playing as them a lot. I've sort of gravitated towards them in multiplayer, and so it's interesting little things like that I think shakes up the formula just enough for arcade multiplayer.
I want to talk about Emil's ability.
Yeah,
it's funny because I got a funny kill with it. Emil, there's a couple characters with this ability. It's like where they slide to cover like faster.
Right.
And I basically fucking disco danced around this room, like doing bitch slaps with the knife. Kill this son of a bitch. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's still very much like, it feels like Gears, and it obviously takes a little while to sort of get back into the groove of Gears multiplayer, because Gears multiplayer is unique, right?
But why aren't we talking about the most important thing?
What's that?
R.I.P. two-piece.
Yeah, the two-piece is gone. You cannot two-piece anymore, because Well, really, because like just the way melee attacking
Yes.
works is completely different now.
Because you don't melee with your weapons anymore. You melee with a knife.
Right, and it's just kind of a quick like a quick like shank rather than like a full on push and a jab, you know.
I feel like the only way you could really do a technical two-piece is if you do the over-the-cover land on someone.
Maybe. Even that though, I don't know if this is true in the multiplayer, but in the single player you can actually recover from that.
Really?
Like if somebody jumps over and knocks you back, you can quickly hit B and recover from it.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like this is actually probably the most balanced Gears has ever been in terms of the multiplayer. And originally, like the first like session that I had playing arcade multiplayer, I was like, this is too different. This is bullshit. I don't like it. I want to go back to classic Gears. And they have that, by the way, for you. If you want to play classic Gears, that is still completely there. You can play classic elimination. You know, all that stuff is still there. And that's cool. But after playing a little bit of that, I was like, I think I'm going to go back to arcade.
Yeah, you got a little bored with regular, huh?
Yeah, because, you know, I think arcade nudges you just enough. Like, it feels just different enough. You still get that good Gears gameplay, but it does feel, like, faster and less stressful. Like, because you think to, like, elimination is pretty fucking stressful. Like, the way elimination works. Where, like, if all your teammates dies and suddenly it's all eyes on you, you know. And here's where I fall down on it. I really like to play that with my friends. Like, when we used to play, like, Gears 2, Gears 3 multiplayer, and, like, it would be, like, us, like, a full party of us and our friends, and we'd be playing elimination, and then, like, you would be the last one standing or something. It's like, oh, shit, let's all watch Todd. Todd's got the sniper. Oh, shit, Todd, you pulled off that clutch kill. You know what I mean? Like, that's a cool experience. But when I'm playing the game by myself, I'm not playing elimination. I'm playing arcade multiplayer. That's sort of where I fall down on it. I'm sort of just you know, kind of fucking around in arcade, you know, shooting Linda Hamilton, being called a Terminator even though I'm not a Terminator. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't had a chance to check out Horde. We haven't had a chance to check out Escape, both of which are, you know, interesting in their own ways.
I've always missed the good old Horde.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit more in line with, like, because again, the character abilities stuff carries over into Horde too, where, like, they've sort of given you, like, almost like RPG-esque roles. Like you can definitely have, like, a more tanky character. There are kind of like support characters like Jack, and it's interesting. So I'm looking forward. I do want to try that at some point, but I don't know when we'll have time. But whenever we have time, we'll definitely report back to talk about that and Escape. But when you think about all the components of Gears 5, I think it's actually a really solid package. Especially if you're a Game Pass member. I mean, Game Pass is already an incredible deal, but like, when you really think about it, Gears 5 is a pretty solid package. It's got good multiplayer. It's got a lot of options. It's got a good campaign, even though we obviously had some problems with it. I still think it is definitely in the upper echelon of Gears campaigns. It's no Gears Judgment. Can we say that?
I forget about that game.
Yeah, the world has forgotten about that game. But yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it. Another thing that I want to shout out to them about, the game does have microtransactions, technically.
Does it?
Technically. There are things to buy, and there is, like, crafting and stuff like that, but they have not overreached with it. Like, you can buy skins, and you can buy blah, blah, blah. Basically, I'll say this. It's essentially the way Apex handles it.
Okay.
They've essentially taken, like, an Apex kind of approach to the loot boxes and stuff like that.
The only thing they shouldn't do is charge it like Apex does.
Yeah, well, and like, to be honest, like, so as kind of an apology for the pre-launch issues, they gave everybody 600 of the crafting components, and like, to be honest, as I was looking at some of the customizable options, like, I was kind of good. Like, I bought some of the things I wanted, crafted some of the things I wanted, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of good. I don't really feel like I need to spend any money anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing here that I even would spend money on anymore. I crafted everything I want.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of good on that. They didn't overreach, and it's all obviously aesthetic stuff too. So really good. Really cool that they didn't like get stupid about it, and they're not shoving microtransactions in your face either. I mean, you didn't even know that they were in there.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I really wish that just, speaking of Apex real quick, and I just want to say this before we move on. Why doesn't just every multiplayer shooter now have the ping system from Apex? Just incorporate that. Everybody, just steal that from Apex. The ping system is so brilliant. Like, I really think that is probably one of the brilliant design innovations of the past, 10 years. Yeah. The ping system's so good. Anyway.
Well, can I say something? Like, the guy, they made Titanfall. That shit, people slept, some people slept on Titanfall, but dude, after that game came out, every game had wall running.
Oh, yeah.
Every fucking game had wall running.
Oh, yes.
Nobody did it as well, though, but still.
No, nobody did. Anyway, that's Gears 5. I think we've chewed the fat on Gears 5 long enough, Todd.
Yeah, it's almost an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, but that I knew that was the main game of the week. Obviously, next week is going to be all about Borderlands, so I really wanted to sit and marinate on Gears 5 for a little bit. It's been a slow news week, Todd, but I do have some news items here if you'd like to dig into this with me.
Let's do it.
So, there was a tease a while ago, I think a week or two ago, teasing something called Resistance, right? This Resident Evil game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people are like, what is this going to be? Is this going to be like, are they remaking Resident Evil 3? Blah, blah, blah. Is it going to be like Resident Evil 8? Like, it's a new Resident Evil project, but we didn't know what the case was going to be with it. And then some footage was leaked, some screens were leaked, and it looked like it was going to be a multiplayer-centric game, so a lot of people were expecting that maybe this was like Resident Evil Outbreak or something like that. Well, Capcom has revealed it, kinda. Where it still doesn't really have a name. It's still just referred to as Project Resistance. But it is a 4v1 asymmetrical multiplayer game. Where you think about the Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight or whatever. But it seems like it's going to have a little more meat on its bones than that. Where the regular humans are playing as survivors. And you can run around, solve puzzles, interact with stuff, and you're trying to escape a secret facility. While the other player, one player, takes control of a character called Mastermind, who is sort of like the bad guy behind the facility, and you basically just have to murder everybody. And you can use, security cameras to track the survivors, and you have complete sort of control over it.
I mean, from what I'm reading, honestly, the most interesting thing is the Mastermind, because he, has a deck of cards and shit.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff to that.
That's honestly the most interesting thing about that. Other than that, I'm I don't really give a shit about those 4v1.
Yeah, this has never been my cup
games.
of tea.
Yeah.
Never been my cup of tea.
I think the last game that we tried to get into was Evolve.
Yeah.
And that didn't even work.
To its credit, I think Evolve was really the first of its kind in that respect. I think Evolve did sort of pioneer that. But, it's just not really my cup of tea. There's a beta going on next month in Japan. No word on a release date. The game is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Steam one day. So, I don't know. This is probably just going to be one of those Resident Evil side projects that gets kind of swept under the rug for me.
Yeah.
I don't really care about really any of the Resident Evil spin-offs.
I know a lot of people. I saw a lot of people when because I did see this whole Project Resistance shit. Is people some people really wanted another was it that Raccoon City game?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people wanted another one of that.
Who knows?
But
who knows? I want to talk about real quick. We obviously this week, as you're listening to this right now, Borderlands 3 is available. But you might have a hard time tracking down some reviews. Because the review situation for Borderlands is fucking weird. So, it seems like those who did not amuse Randy Pitchford
Damn it! You stole my thunder, you bitch?
I'm sorry. Those who did not amuse Randy Pitchford did not receive early access to Borderlands 3. And even the ones who did, it seems like it's similar to a Gears situation where it seems like the game actually was not patched when they did receive it. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting situation here. And I think the ones who kind of like blew the lid off of it was actually Giant Bomb on the Giant Bomb cast. They sort of said, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not directly quoting, but they ostensibly said that they were told by a like 2K representative that based on their E3 coverage of the game, they weren't going to send them early copies. So yeah. That's interesting. Kotaku also did not receive early copies. Or no, rather, I think that they're receiving copies early, but they are not getting them very early. They're getting them like a day early, right? Usually, video game reviewers get their games at least a week in advance, so that they can play it and have a review ready in time. And this is a symbiotic relationship between publishers and reviewers. Now, to be completely clear, publishers have no obligation to give a reviewer a free copy of a game.
Mm-hmm.
Or to give it to them early or whatever. The reason they do it is because it is in their best interest to have reviews ready for launch day. Because you want as many people playing your game, as many reviews to be out there for launch day. Because a lot of people base their purchasing decisions on reviews. You want that high Metacritic score, right? So now, with Borderlands, you've got a situation where only a few reviewers were given proper early access to the game on, like, debug consoles that they sent them. And then, like, the reviewers that did get it are saying that, like, the version of the game they're playing is, like, kind of jank. So, yeah. It's interesting. So, for example, the Polygon reviewer, who reviewed it for Polygon, said that they ran into severe technical issues, including random crashes, and somebody that was playing lost 6 hours of progress and had to start from the very beginning.
Fuck.
Yeah. So, that's interesting.
Shit, it'd be interesting to catch these fucking hands if that shit happens to me.
Right. So, 2K says that a lot of this is in place of security concerns. If you remember, there's a story, I think, maybe last month or so, where somebody posted leaked information. This YouTuber posted, like, leaked information ahead of the game, so...
Yeah.
They say that a lot of this is in response to, like, security concerns, and I understand that, but the fact that Giant Bomb was essentially said that it was because of their content, that to me doesn't bode well. I don't like that.
They should have catered to Randy Pitchford.
Randy Pitchford was not amused. You have to think about the amusement of Randy Pitchford.
The most important aspect of all our lives.
Yeah, so I have an excerpt here from the Polygon review, actually, where they say, quote, 2K Games and Gearbox didn't send out review codes for Borderlands 3. Instead, they set reviewers up with new Epic Game Store accounts with the game unlocked and gave us a few warnings about the game being a work in progress. They asked us to stay away from the DirectX 12 implementation, for example, and told us that our progress in these builds may or may not carry over into the final game. So yeah, interesting. I imagine that for the consumer, everything is going to go over just fine, but the review situation is very, very weird with Borderlands 3. So it's one of those things where I just, like, I'm so excited for the game, but I feel real dirty. Like, with all this stuff, like, we've been covering, like Gearbox and like Randy Pitchford and Borderlands for a while now, and I'm so hyped for Borderlands 3, but I feel weird supporting it.
I don't care. Gearbox at this point can shit down my throat.
As long as the game is good, that's really all I care about.
That's all I give a shit about. I don't give a fuck.
The real sin is going to be if all this happens and the game is also bad. Which it sounds like it isn't. It's getting pretty good reviews despite all of this. So
I love seeing the motherfuckers say it's more of the same, and I'm like, good.
Yeah, it sounds like the game is good. And I actually listened to one of IGN's Podcast Unlocked, and they said that actually the game feels a lot more new than you might expect, because they were like, I tried to go back to Borderlands 2 after playing 3, and I couldn't
Well,
do
here's
it.
the thing. I'll tell you why. It's because the movement shit. The movement shit's gonna probably be the main thing.
Yeah, well then also there's the little stuff like the way loot is divvied up and the...
Yeah, there's a lot of just quality of life
Yes.
changes in this game, and I
Yes.
think that is a good thing. I think people are not going to realize like how important that shit actually is.
How it's going to be different in the right ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we, of course, will have full coverage of that next week on the show after we've had a chance to play. Very excited still to play it. It sounds like Naughty Dog is finally ready to show us more of The Last of Us Part 2. So this was teased by Jeff Keighley on Twitter. Members of the press were invited to a media event for the game, which is taking place on September 24th. So we don't know anything other than that. We will almost certainly see some fresh gameplay for it, but could we possibly also get a release date? There was actually rumors a while ago that the game was getting a February release date. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think February would be a fine time to release the game. I think it's probably going to come later than that. If I were a betting man, I would probably say May. But who knows? Either way, I think it's high time that we get a release date for the game. Hopefully that will happen at this media event. Todd, you hyped for Last of Us?
I guess.
I can't fucking believe you. You disgust me.
You asked me that just to get that reaction, bitch.
Yeah.
It's like you want my dick hard for that game.
It should be.
I don't know.
It's only...
I think it's going to be a masterpiece, but I'm not hyped about it.
You make no sense. You make no sense, and you disgust me.
It's the same reason I would play a Bloodborne 2, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
It's a completely different situation. Bloodborne... If they make a Bloodborne 2, it's going to be released in a completely different way than the Last of Us Part 2 is made by the same people. It is... And by the way, the same people in question is Naughty Dog, the point-blank period best developer working in video games today. Literally have never made a bad game.
Snapped by me.
That's bullshit. You're fucking ridiculous. There is no developer. You cannot point to me another developer that is batting 1,000 like Naughty Dog. Period. Who is as technically proficient, who is making games that look better, play better than Naughty Dog. Like, sorry.
You want to get their dick out your mouth?
Sorry, it doesn't exist. Anyway, I'm washing my hands of you. Let's stay in a PlayStation realm though, because the gaming world, Todd, was shaken to its very core this week when PlayStation UK's official Twitter account revealed that the classic PlayStation face button symbols are triangle, circle, square, and cross.
I mean, yeah.
That's right, Todd. When you call it the X button, you are technically incorrect.
What? No way.
But who the fuck... This sent people into a fucking frenzy. The likes of which we haven't seen since, like, the GIF debate.
It's GIF.
Yeah, whatever. I didn't he say it's officially GIF?
Yeah, he can go fuck himself.
But it's the same thing. It's like, who cares? Who cares how you say it? Like, here in America, we're going to say the X button. It doesn't... Who cares? Say whatever you want. But the official definition, it's officially called the cross button. It's officially called GIF.
I mean, but we've known that.
Yeah, so this is something that I wanted to talk about here because, like, people are sitting here, like, breaking it down, like, getting into, like, the mathematical definition of, like, X versus cross, how, like, the inside parameters of a cross are equidistant.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I've seen the dumb shit.
Just, like, getting real stupid about it. But by the way, like, I just want to make it very clear, this button has been called the cross button since the PlayStation's, inception some fucking 25 years ago, everybody. So, this largely has to do with Japanese culture, so let's not forget that despite PlayStation's massive success here in the West, PlayStation is still very much a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
So, Batsu, the Japanese name for what we call the letter X, in Japan represents wrong, like wrong answer in Japanese kanji. So when you play Japanese games, Like here, the X button is very much like the accept or like the sort of like perform action or basically button, and on Xbox it's like translated to A. It's very much like the good button. It's the button you do when you want things to happen. A lot of Japanese centric games use X as like the cancel or go back button, basically. Whereas like the circle would take the place of the X button. It's basically swapped in Japan because circle basically means good and X means bad. So I'll never forget that's actually how it was in the classic Metal Gear games when I first played them. It actually fucked me up when I first played Metal Gear, and I didn't understand why. So as all games do not implement this design, it stands to reason that Sony just refers to it as cross rather than X to avoid confusion with its Japanese audience. So that's why you've got cross. And technically, like, it's the same thing. You're not calling it an O button, you're calling it a circle button. You know? Really funny to me how people were getting all up in arms about that.
Yep.
I've got a release date here for a game that I'm interested in. You likely either don't know about it or forgot about its existence. It's Sayonara Wild Hearts.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it's kind of a like rhythm action game with a really unique style. It's got a release date now. It's coming out September 19th. That's next week. It's coming out for Switch, PS4, and Apple Arcade. I didn't want to do like a full breakdown of Apple Arcade here because like it's essentially going to be, they announced it this week. Apple Arcade is essentially an iOS version of like Game Pass, where it's $4.99 a month and you get access to a bunch of games. That's basically it. So they're trying to like legitimize mobile games on Apple devices, and you know, it's mobile gaming.
Stop trying to make mobile gaming happen. Stop trying to make it happen. No.
We don't super cover mobile games on the show unless Nintendo makes one, really. So, and that's only because it's me. Last bit of news I have here, Todd, is regarding the cadence of Super Nintendo game releases. So, last week, 20 Super Nintendo games were made available to the Nintendo Switch Online members, but we were unclear on if Nintendo would maintain the monthly release cadence that they had with their previous NES service. So, basically, for NES, they would release like 2 games every month, basically, like clockwork, and we didn't know if they were going to be continuing that. Well, Nintendo has since revealed that NES games will A, no longer be receiving monthly releases, and that B, Super Nintendo games will not be on that schedule either. So, a Nintendo rep told Business Insider, quote, "More NES games will be added in the future, but these releases will not adhere to a regular schedule." So, they are going to be releasing more of these games, but it will not be on any sort of schedule. So, if you're curious about that. This may seem like a downgrade at first blush, but if you stop for a second and think about it, Todd, not releasing the games on like a rigid schedule kind of actually means a few things. Like, sure, it means they could release less frequently, and that's probably what it does mean, but it could also mean that they might release more frequently. You know, maybe they're going to put them out more often than once a month. By the way, for Super Nintendo anyway, like we really kind of like scratched the bottom of the barrel with the NES. The NES just doesn't have like this amazing library that a lot of people seem to think it does. The Super Nintendo does, but we got a drop of 20 games, and most of them are great. I mean, they've already kind of like covered the bases. They've covered the Super Metroid and the Mario World and Link to the Past. Like, that stuff's all there already. So, like, everything else we're getting is just gravy, basically. And I think that the surprise of not knowing when new games are going to be added is going to be nice. Like, it's going to basically keep players from just, like, visiting the app once a month. You know what I mean? Because before, it's just like, all right, new game day. Let's jump on once a month and call it a day. Now you have a reason to actually get on there. So, a lot of people sort of, like, called this a smoking gun, and I really don't think there's anything to be gleaned from it. Have you had a chance to check out any of the Super Nintendo games?
Not really. Haven't been on my Switch in a while.
You're a fool.
Since Banjo.
I want to play Banjo more, Todd.
I know you do. But
It's just been so
bad.
crazy. It's been so
And
crazy.
It's only getting crazier.
We're in the thick of it, dude. We've got Borderlands, which we'll obviously talk about at length this time next week. We've got nothing but... I've got Link's Awakening coming out the week after. We've got fucking October, we're doing the Holo Stream stuff, but in the midst of all of that, Call of Duty comes out. So then obviously November's got like Pokemon, and it's got Jedi Fallen Order, which is huge. And so yeah, we've got a lot on our plate.
There's too much game.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about picking up Control pretty soon, and sort of like how you're basically bouncing forth between Iceborne and Call of Duty, or Iceborne and Borderlands rather.
Yeah, that's my plan.
I'm thinking I might do that with Control, but also because Link's Awakening is coming out so soon, Link's Awakening might also be that thing for me. So I don't know. I'm really looking at Control, and I'm like, how you doing? Because they revealed today, this isn't in my news drop, but they revealed today at the time of this recording that they've got DLC coming, and one of them looks like it's going to be Alan Wake based DLC. And I'm like, yes. So I'm very on board. And also they released like performance patches, which it sounds like that was really the main like complaint people were having with the game. So now that that's sort of being fixed, I'm really like wanting to jump into Control. I really want to play that game. So I don't know. Maybe be on the lookout for some Control coverage. But Todd, that's about all I've got this week before we head off into the sunset and play some Borderlands. Where's your hype level at, Todd?
About that.
You're going to be playing as Amara on our first playthrough. I'm going to be playing as Flack.
I'm gonna be honest, like, Amara is the only character that I'm genuinely interested in. So,
and then our boy Jacob's going to be joining us. He's going to be playing as either Zane or Mose. So,
okay, there you go.
So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready and raring for some Borderlands. So, with that being said, Todd, unless there's anything else you want to add before we wrap it up,
I think that's about it, sir.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next week. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.
Hey there, thanks for checking out another fantastic Nerd Bourbon video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, leave us a like, drop us a nice comment, or I guess a mean one if that's your prerogative. But until next time, get dunked on.